We're breaking generational curses. Another protest behavior that anxious, preoccupied people tend to do is acting hostile. So ignoring their partner, literally kind of turning their backs to their partners, rolling their eyes if they speak, sighing a lot, the little passive aggressive stuff. So these are just ways to really get attention. Basically a way of saying, look at me, pay attention to me. You know, these are actual behaviors, acting out. Another thing anxious, preoccupied partners do, they will underestimate their own talents and abilities due to their low self-esteem and overestimate their partners. And just try not to do that. Like, look at things for what they really are. They will idolize a partner who may not even be the best. Take a moment, step back. This kind of goes with self-love. Love yourself first. Anxious, preoccupied tend to put other people's needs before themselves. They want everyone else around them to feel satisfied and pleased. That's how they get their validation. Basically by people pleasing, by knowing that other people are happy that they do what they want them to do. And nothing's wrong with making sure your partner is okay. And actually that's great. That's one thing I can say about anxious, preoccupied is that they really do make good partners. However, it is okay to know your own needs and know your own wants. It's okay to want things for yourself. It's okay to have your own wants and needs. And it's okay to cater to yourself sometimes.
You're gonna treat yourself.
I'm gonna go ahead and treat myself. Treat yourself.
Can I please get a tall caramel ribbon crunch?
Tall caramel ribbon crunch with almond milk and stuff.
Can I get extra caramel drizzle and crunch?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Subconsciously, these parents are passing that on because they too have that fear of abandonment. They too are afraid of not having that genuine connection, even with their own kids. It's one of those things, you can't do what you don't know. I'm going to go into the healing part of this. You have to have a good reason for healing. If you have kids, or even if you don't have kids but you want kids one day, that should be a very good reason to want to do it. I don't want my child to go through that. And I want to make sure I teach them in the best way that I can, now that I know this information. We're breaking generational curses. We're breaking them.
Amen. Hallelujah.
Because you have to want to do it. You have to want to. Okay, let me put it this way. Don't do it because I don't want them to think of me this way. I don't want them to think I'm needy and I'm clingy. If you're thinking of it that way, you're already shaming yourself. Healing can never come from a place of shame. Do not do that. Do not shame yourself. That's not a good reason. Don't do that. We live in a society where people like this are ashamed. It's better if you completely close off your emotions altogether than to show them too much, which closing off your emotions is just as unhealthy, by the way. But people will tend to praise that more than a person with anxious, preoccupied attachment style. If you have this attachment style, I can understand how it's very easy to feel ashamed of that because of the society we live in. But healing does not come from a place of shame. You cannot focus on how people are going to view you, how people are going to look at you. You need to do it for your own reasoning. Do it for self-respect. Do it because you hate that feeling you get when you are worried about this person, when all you're thinking about is what are they doing and they're not talking to me. You need to have a real reason. If you have this attachment style, do it because you know how horrible it feels when you're having these anxiety attacks. You know how it feels when you text your partner and they don't text you back for 10 minutes, so now your mind is going wild. You know how it feels. You go from one thought to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next. They don't like me anymore. They don't like me because I did this last week. What if they tell all their friends and then their friends have a negative view on me and then this happens and then that happens? Stop. Stop. You know that's not a good feeling. So that's step one, is when you're in these anxiety rampages, when your imagination is running wild, stop for a second. Your partner does not text you back right away. Once you start getting that emotion, like, what are they doing? Stop. Take a second and stop and actually come to terms with what is going on in your head. Understand the emotion. I am upset because why? Because they did not text me back. Therefore, I think they don't like me anymore. But I also want you to think about logic. Get in touch with your emotion, but also write down logic. Emotion would be, I'm upset because I think they don't like me anymore. Something logical would be, they are asleep, or they are in the shower, or they are busy. They got sidetracked. Maybe they did see it, but they got distracted by something. So actually sit back before you go into this whirlwind of anxiety and actually try and use logic to calm you down. Don't heighten your anxiety by having undesirable thought after undesirable thought. Calm down first. That's the first thing. When you have anxiety, you cannot control your emotions and you can't think logically. And this isn't something that's going to just happen overnight. You are reshaping your brain through repetition. If you are 30, 40, 50, even 60 years old and you've done this your whole life, you're basically trying to reprogram yourself as a child because you learned all of this as a kid, as a child who was not even conscious of what is happening. That is hard to touch back into and try to reprogram in itself. It happens through repetition. You have to kind of get in the habit of doing it. If you have this attachment style, I would recommend doing hobbies and activities that you enjoy. One of the words in this attachment style is preoccupied. They're so preoccupied with their relationships. They have no other life outside of this relationship. They are completely fixated on this person. The world is wrapped around this person. Use that and actually preoccupy your time with things you enjoy. And don't just do it to, like, I don't know, burn time. Just like, oh, I'm just going to do this just to do it so I can have something to do. Don't do it because of that, but actually fill your time up with things that are productive. If you like documentaries, you like learning, fill that time up with that. Basically, get your mind set on something else other than a person. Don't neglect yourself. Don't neglect your feelings and emotions. It's your inner child screaming out. If you're with an emotionally unavailable person, they don't respond to you right away. They may just be busy. It could just be completely innocent, right? But your mind goes wild and you throw this tantrum at them. What you're basically doing is throwing your inner child at your partner and saying, here, you fix this. You deal with this because I don't want to deal with it. In order to heal, you have to manage and then actually fight it off. Think of a cold, right? You have to manage your symptoms. You'll take medicine. You might take cough and cold medicine to manage your cough or your fever. But then your body actually has to fight the bacteria or the virus away. You have to manage the symptoms. Your body and your immune system still has to purge the sickness out. If you are with someone who is dismissive avoidant, which usually that is the case, not always, you have to understand. So these type of behaviors can hurt your partner too, even if they are emotionally unavailable. I know you're probably thinking like, what? I'm the one crying at night. I'm the one sending them texts back to back. I'm the one stressed out. But emotionally unavailables are wounded as well. And I know that can be hard to believe because they're pretty stoic. They don't show emotions much. They, just like you, weren't properly or consistently shown attention as a child or able to be vulnerable. And I don't want anyone upset with me when I say this. Just bear with me, please. I'm just trying to put you into the shoes of your partner who might be dismissive avoidant. I know that one pretty well. That emotionally unavailable person, they usually pull away because they're starting to resent their partner for being a child. They feel this responsibility of having to be a parent and having to fix that child. They're really independent. They value their independence. They value their self-sufficiency. They feel like they're basically no longer separate from you or whole from you, which is why they'll tend to kind of like back up. While you're trying to cling on to them as a person, they're trying to cling to their individuality. I say that to say, even they have childhood trauma they have to heal, and everyone's trauma is their responsibility to fix, right? It's your own responsibility to fix, should I say. It's not right or okay to try to throw your trauma onto someone else to fix. It's kind of unfair, and unless, of course, you go to a therapist or you have someone who is willing to work with you with it, that can be a big weight and load on someone else, especially someone who is emotionally unavailable, because usually they don't even want to deal with their own emotions. It's almost overwhelming for them to have to deal with someone else's, and that's why they tend to back away. They have to deal with their own to heal, and you have to deal with your own. So you have to fix yourself. With me? Animal crackers in my soup. You don't judge me. So calm down and think logical.